Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible rulebook that runs your entire professional life? I'm not talking about your company's HR manual. Nope. I mean the huge, complex web of laws and political decisions that shapes everything, from how you get hired, to your pay, to your safety at work. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and look at these incredibly powerful forces.
It's a totally fair question, right? You'd think it's simple. You apply for a job, you nail the interview, and you get the offer. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture, the world outside your office. Then we'll zero in on the specific forces shaping your job, get into the nitty-gritty of the rules, see how those rules actually play out at work, and finally, take a peek at what's coming next. All right, first things first, we have to get our heads around a really fundamental idea. No business, and I mean no business, operates in a bubble. Every single company is part of this bigger, messier ecosystem that experts call the business environment. So, what is this external environment? Think of it like this. If a business is a ship sailing on the ocean, the external environment is the weather. It's the wind, the currents, the unexpected storms, all the stuff the ship captain can't control but absolutely has to navigate to get where they're going. And it's HR's job to be the lookout, constantly scanning the horizon. And this is where we need to make a really clear distinction. You have the internal environment, things a company can control, like its own culture or policies, but then you have the external environment, which it has to react to. You know, a company can set its own sails, but it can't, for 1 second, control the wind. So what are these big, powerful external forces we're talking about? Let's break down the main categories that have a direct impact on how human resources has to operate. Okay, there are a few heavy hitters. You've got economic factors, like inflation, which obviously affects salaries. There's technology, like AI and automation, which is totally changing what jobs even look like. And demographics, like the age of the workforce, which shapes company strategy. But today, we are going to focus on the one that lays down the law, literally, the political legal environment. All right, this is the core of it. The political and legal system is what creates the official rules of the game. And it's a game every single business has to play, whether they like it or not. Going back to our ship analogy, these factors are the maritime laws. They cover the whole shebang, the political system itself, big government policies, and specific laws passed at both the federal and state levels. And these are not suggestions, folks. They are mandates that businesses have to follow, especially when it comes to managing people. So how do these rules even get made? Well, it's a pretty smart 3-part system of checks and balances. First, you have the legislature. Think of them as the rule makers. They're the ones who write and pass the laws. Second, you have the executive branch. That's the government. And they're the enforcers. They put those rules into action. And finally, you have the judiciary, or the court system. They're like the referee, making sure the rules are interpreted fairly and that everyone is playing by them constitutionally. Okay, so we've talked about these abstract laws and government branches. But how does that high-level stuff actually trickle down and show up in your day-to-day work life? Let's connect the dots. I mean, you've seen it 1,000 times, right? That little line at the bottom of a job posting? Well, that's a perfect example. That phrase isn't there because a company is just trying to be nice. It's a direct result of the political, legal environment. It's a signal to you and to the government that they're playing by the rules. And that phrase points to a core legal principle, which is pretty straightforward. You can't discriminate against employees based on things like their gender, religion, or where they come from. People should be judged on their skills and ability, period. This powerful idea is then translated into very specific regulations that HR teams have to follow to the letter. So here's where the rubber really meets the road. Anti-discrimination laws directly impact who gets recruited, who gets selected, and who gets promoted. Pay and safety regulations, they determine how much you're paid and make sure your workplace isn't a danger zone. In some places, there are even reservation policies, which are kind of like affirmative action, that can set specific hiring quotas. The link is crystal clear. But here's the thing, this rulebook is never finished. It's constantly being revised. As the world changes, so does the political and legal landscape. And that creates a whole new set of challenges for businesses to figure out. Just look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. This isn't just a buzzword anymore. Driven by major social movements and new legal standards, it has exploded into a massive, multi-billion-dollar market. A number this big tells you that for businesses, this is way beyond just compliance. It's about managing legal risk, attracting the best people, and frankly, staying relevant. And the next giant wave is already crashing ashore.
artificial intelligence. Companies are using AI right now for hiring and managing people, and that opens up a huge can of legal and ethical worms. How do you make sure an algorithm isn't biased? If it is, who's to blame? Lawmakers are scrambling to catch up. And this quote from HR specialist Sahana Rao just nails it. As AI starts crunching all this employee data, it slams right into huge data privacy laws like GDPR in Europe. Suddenly, HR departments have to worry about getting your explicit consent for everything and making sure their hiring bots aren't secretly discriminatory. These are brand new challenges at the intersection of tech and law. Which, of course, brings us to the final million-dollar question. In today's world, this is the tightrope every single business has to walk. The outside world demands that they be nimble and adapt constantly, but the legal world demands that they follow the rules, no exceptions. Finding a way to be both flexible and compliant, that is the high-stakes balancing act for every company out there.